American political activist Charlie Kirk was shot at an event he was hosting at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. He's reportedly in critical condition at the hospital after he was shot in the neck. The suspected shooter has been detained. Some reactions: pray for Charlie. Shocking. Pray for Charlie and his family. Leah McCourt says he's really one of God's soldiers and was a huge force in the last election. Please stop what you're doing and pray for him. Gordon Ryan says, when are we going to take our country back from liberals? Asking for Americans. This is getting to the point where the people who just want to be left alone are about to be forced to take their gloves off. Unbelievable.
Ela já viu que tá pequena. Olha, vou trocar já. Bela roupa, achei um pouquinho mais pra ver se dragão.
19-year-old Alice Pereira will be making her UFC debut Saturday at Noche UFC, making her the youngest female fighter in UFC history. She's taking on Montserrat Rendon. Rendon's going to look to take Pereira down. Pereira is going to look to use her length and reach and striking skills to outstrike Rendon to a decision win or TKO finish. UFC are high on Alice Pereira, trying to make her the next golden girl of the UFC. We'll see what happens. She's really young and inexperienced, but Rendon, even though she's 17 years older, only has a couple more fights on the pro level than Alice Pereira. So we'll see how Pereira handles constant takedown attacks. Her ability to sprawl seems pretty good. I'll favor her to get the win by decision, but you never really know how fighters react when they get taken down for the first time in a fight. If they're down in a fight facing adversity, you never know how they're going to react when things don't go their way. That being said, I'll go Pereira by decision.
I'm a fat boy that likes to scrap anybody and anywhere. I don't give a fuck, bro, please. I'll do anything. I'll suck your toes, Dana. What's up?
That's Stephen Asplund, who just won a contract on Dana White's Contender Series, and he wants to get him that cage in the UFC Octagon ASAP. Josh Hockett also recently won the Contender Series and got a UFC contract and would like to fight him in November. Josh says, chill, brother, it's only 10K and 10K, but you don't belong here. The heavyweight division sucks, so I'm not surprised. Be my first victim in November, please. I'll get you out of there in less than 2 minutes. Both guys like to talk on the mic. Hockett gets compared to a heavyweight version of Colby Covington. It'd be a striker versus wrestler battle. Hockett looking to get the takedowns and use his wrestling and ground game, whereas Asplund looking to get the KO. The heavyweight division does suck, but I don't know if I see anybody coming off the Contender Series from the heavyweight division that's going to make it unsuck anytime soon. For some reason, Paulo Costa is disliked by Jean Silva, so Paulo Costa calls him a little dwarf pendejo, naughty little child. You're so small for me.
It's been with my whole life. If I don't like you, I just straight up tell it to your face, I just don't like you. And like Borrachinha, Paulo Borracha just don't like him very much, but he's a huge different weight class. I'm never going to fight him, but in the streets, all bets are off.
Paulo Costa?
Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa. Paulo Borrachinha Costa. Paulo Costa, yeah.
That's an interesting one.
He doesn't like him.
No 3, hein? Foda-se. Foco Paulo Costa, Borrachinha, tá? Vamos nessa. 1, 2, 3. Foco!
That's an interesting one. I did not expect that one.
Jean Silva's headlining UFC Noche against Diego Lopez on Saturday in San Antonio, Texas. It's the first time Jean Silva's headlining a card, so first time he's on a UFC poster, and he got emotional seeing himself on a UFC poster, seeing how far he's come in his career. The fight is scheduled for 5 rounds, but Diego doesn't see it going 25 minutes.
Bro, I think this fight is not go to the distance, you know? It's not go to the distance because who's for this? I'm go to the front for change the punch. This guy Sam. I hope this guy stay ready for this, no? Because like I trained for finish this fight. My experience, no? I think my experience I proved myself with the best guys in the world. My fish fight UFC, I proved I'm stay ready for the top, for a long time. Now I number 2 in the ranking. I defend my position now. I think in this game, it's level, it's high level, no? Yeah, now is the division is a little bit mixed, no? It's like you never know what's happening now in the division. But I think Saturday night, I think great win. Maybe I'm stay again the conversation for the title shot.
Retired MMA fighter Dominic Cruz says, even if I lost the title, even if I lost 2 in a row, the UFC is still going to give me a top 5 because I'm getting paid so much they want to see me get beat to death for that money. Exactly why the Ali Act is in place to prevent conflicts of interest and preserve a balance of power between promoters, managers, and fighters. Total control is how you damage fighters and is extremely dangerous. A lot of people wanted the Ali Act to come into MMA and the UFC. Not only did that not happen, the opposite is happening. TKO is looking to amend the Ali Act in boxing so they can operate in boxing the way they operate in MMA.
There.
You support that legislation, right?
100%, yeah.
How necessary is that to get passed in order for you to operate in boxing like you do in the UFC?
Yeah, I think that, I'll give you an example. If you look at the UFC, we bought the UFC for $2 million. And if you paid attention today, the stock is at $200 a share. So when you can, I don't know if there's ever been a sport or a business or anything that's ever existed where trillions of dollars in revenue were generated. And at the end of the day, there's nothing there. What we did with the UFC is turned the UFC into an NFL, an NBA. There's a league, you reinvest back into the sport, and other people want to invest in the sport, whether it's sponsors or, any of these financial firms, whatever it may be. That's what needs to be done with boxing too, and that's what I'm going to attempt to do.
It is really good for the UFC and the UFC brand. They get a lot of money from sponsors and things like that, but the UFC fighters don't get anything out of it. Like the new media rights deal that the UFC did with Paramount, a 7-year agreement recently, which was about $7.7 billion, averaging about $1.1 billion a year. But unlike other major sports, none of that money is directly shared with the UFC fighters. In the NFL, the $110 billion TV deal is tied to a system where players get like 48 to 50% of all league revenue, so they get like nearly half of broadcast dollar benefits for the athletes. The NBA got a similar structure. That $76 billion media deal translates to players getting roughly 49 to 51% of basketball-related income. And Major League Baseball and NHL also split about 50% of revenues with their players under the collective bargaining agreements. By contrast, UFC fighters take about 13 to 20% of the promotional's total revenue and zero share of broadcast deals. Arguably, the biggest boxing bout of the year will be on Saturday, Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. Terence Crawford is an underdog, but he's comfortable in that role.
That when you look at the landscape of things, the great little man always beat the great big man. But for some reason, somebody said, ever the great little man would go up and wait and beat the great big man. And I said, who said that? Nobody can tell me who said that, but everybody just run with it. Nobody, not one person can tell me where they get that thought from. Nobody. But when you look at history, let's really dig deep in history, and we look at like Henry Armstrong, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez, Usyk, Roy Jones Jr. When we keep naming all these great fighters that moved up in weight and was successful in beating great big men that we can call big because they was in a higher weight class, that would tell you something about history. But a lot of people don't look into things like that.